I mentioned earlier, Michael Johnson's the winner of the 1996 Olympics in the 200 meter and in the 400 meter. And interestingly enough, in the 200 meter, he set a world record during that race, an amazing feat. Tell me if you think this might have had something to do with it. He said, I visualized the 1996 Olympics down to the millisecond. He had imagined literally every step of that race and rehearsed it over and over and over again in his mind. Visualization is simply picturing in your mind what it is that you want. Here's a quick example. If you're not driving, close your eyes and picture yourself on your favorite beach. Did you picture it? Okay, now open your eyes. That's visualization. And you pictured that one picture in your mind one time. When you visualize your goals, picture the achievement of your goals over and over and over. And every time you picture it, it's another picture, click, another picture, click, over and over and over, and reprogram your subconscious mind for success. Never picture yourself failing. Always picture yourself successfully accomplishing the result. The next benefit of written goals is that goals will motivate you. Consider this example. You have salesperson A and salesperson B. Salesperson A and salesperson B. And they both set appointments. That's what they do. That's their job. And salesperson A doesn't have a goal. Salesperson B has a goal of setting 15 appointments for the week. So A has no goal. B has a goal to set 15 appointments for the week. It's now 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. The call shift goes until 5 o'clock. They both have set the exact same number of appointments. Salesperson A with no goal has set 12. Salesperson B, who has the goal of 15, has set 12. It's now 2 o'clock on Friday. What will salesperson A do? Probably not make calls, leave early, go surfing, surf the internet, right? What will salesperson B do? Continue to make calls. Assuming that they both have the exact same amount of talent, what is the difference between the two? The only difference is that salesperson B had a goal and salesperson A did not. Goals will motivate you. A powerful story to illustrate this point. It's about Sylvester Stallone. Did you know that Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky? I mean, when I found that, it absolutely amazed me that Sylvester Stallone was the writer for Rocky. And Sylvester Stallone had a goal to not only write Rocky, but to star in the Rocky movie. That was his dream. That was his vision. That was his goal. And once he had written Rocky, he began to take it to producers and ask them, will you purchase this script and allow me to star in it? No. He'd take it to another one. Will you purchase this script and allow me to star in it? No. He'd take it to another person. Will you purchase the script and allow me to star in it? No. Another one. No. Another one. No. Another one. No. This went on. No, 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 no. Yes. Okay, I will purchase the script, but you can't star in it. Sylvester Stallone says, well, I'm Rocky in the movie. I mean, that's who I am. So I need to be in the movie. And they offered him like $35,000 for the script. Sylvester Stallone says, unless I'm the star in the movie, I will not accept the $35,000. Now, also know this. Sylvester Stallone was hard up for money at the time, and he refused to take a job. He insisted upon being a writer and a movie star. So he wouldn't take a job. And he got so broke that he sold his dog for food money. Now, imagine that. And I'm a pet owner. I absolutely love my pets. I can't imagine parting with my pets. But I guess if you were so broke and that's the only way that you felt you could make money, well, that's what Sylvester Stallone did. After he sold the dog, he was then offered the $35,000 for the script. And he didn't take it. Now, I want you to think about this. And this is back, by the way, in the early 1970s, when $35,000 was probably about $100,000 in today's money. I want you to imagine that you were so broke that you sold your dog. You're a writer, and you're an aspiring actor, and you're offered $35,000 for a script. Now, I mean, I'm looking at that going, that's pretty good. Maybe you can't start it, but at least you were offered the $35,000, and you wouldn't take it. They said, okay, we'll double it. We'll give you $70,000. And then Sly says, well, when do I get to star in the movie? You don't, Sly. Then I won't take it. They upped it to $150,000. Now, I want you to imagine that you are Sylvester Stallone. You were so broke you sold your dog, and you're being offered $150,000 in 1970s money. What would you do? Sylvester Stallone said no. Their final offer was $250,000. Now, that would have secured Sylvester Stallone's financial future for the rest of his life. And he turned it down and he said no. And finally, they relented, and they allowed him to star in the movie. And the rest is history. Sylvester Stallone has gone on to be one of the highest paid, most successful actors in the history of Hollywood because that goal motivated him. And I was watching the A&E biography show. Perhaps you've seen that on television before. They always have these amazing stories of incredibly successful people. And they interviewed him, and they said, Sly, a lot of people have the goal to make it in Hollywood, yet very few people make it. How are you able to do it? And he simply said this: hunger. I was more hungry than anyone else. How hungry are you? How hungry are you? The next benefit of goal setting is that you can mind map a goal. Mind mapping was developed by Tony Buzan, and he wrote a book called The Mind Map Book. And mind mapping is non-linear note-taking. And I'll just give you just a real simple version of mind mapping. If you're interested in mind mapping, purchase the book, and you can get a much, much more in-depth training on mind mapping. If you imagine an apple, and you stuck toothpicks in the apple, and at the end of the toothpick, if you imagine that now on a piece of paper, and you drew a circle in the middle of the paper, and you drew lines outside the circle, just like a toothpick would be sticking out of an apple. And in the center of the circle, you write your goal. I will earn $100,000 this year, as an example. And then at the end of each of the toothpicks, at the end of each of the lines, you write down different strategies of how you're going to do it. Again, it's non-linear note-taking. And one of my success mentors, a gentleman named Nazar Najer, an absolutely brilliant man, shared with me. He said, Eric, go out and get a sketch pad down at an art store and purchase some colored pens. And when you do your mind mapping, use colors, and it will impact your subconscious in a different way. When somebody like Nazar, who's a master of success, shares an idea like that with me, I immediately take action. Because if you think an idea is a great idea on this program, take the idea and run with it and take action. So I went down to the art store the next day and I took action. And I've created some powerful mind maps around the goals that I want to achieve in my life. The next benefit of goal setting is that when you have a written goal, you are 10 times more likely to accomplish that goal if it's written down than if it's not. And one of my good friends and coaching clients, Ross Guile, attended one of my public programs, and he set a goal. He was weighing at that time 240 pounds, and he wrote down that he would get down to 190 pounds. And within 4 months, he had lost those 50 pounds. He wrote it down. He was more likely to follow through and take action, and he did take action. The next benefit of goal setting is that when you have a written goal, you can ask others for help. And one of my good friends is a gentleman named Mike Littman. And Mike Littman has a website, MikeLittman.com. Mike hosts the top motivational radio show in the world today. And it's on internet radio, available at his website. And Mike wrote a book called Conversations with Millionaires with his co-author, Jason Omar. And together they had a goal for the book to go to #1 on Amazon.com the first day of its release. They self-published the book. They had never written a book before. And many people would say, well, you know what, Eric? That is an unrealistic goal. They self-published it. I mean, imagine if, as you're listening to me right now, you set a goal to write a book. And then not only did you set a goal to write a book, which would be an amazing goal if you achieved it, you set a goal to go to #1 on Amazon.com the very first day of its release. Well, that was Mike and Jason's goal. And by themselves, they never would have accomplished it. They needed the help of others. And so I received an email from Mike asking for help. Eric, my book Conversations with Millionaires is coming out in the near future. Would you do me a favor? #1, would you purchase some books on that day from Amazon.com? And #2, Would you send an email out to your customer list and ask them to help and to purchase a book on that day? And I did that for Mike, and I did purchase some books on that day. And sure enough, their goal was realized. And they went to number 1. Conversations with Millionaires continues to be one of the best-selling books on Amazon.com to this day. Would you agree with me that Mike and Jason never would have accomplished that goal if they had not asked for help? Think of the goals that you have in your life. Who do you need to help you achieve those goals? The next benefit of goal setting is that you can act as if you're going to accomplish the goal. You can select a goal like, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months. And then you can begin to act as if that goal has already been achieved. Well, if I was going to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months, what would I eat today? What type of exercise would I do? And if you take action, acting as if, there's a phenomenal opportunity that you're going to achieve the goal. I'd like to share with you a few examples of people who have acted as if. And the first one is Stuart Taub. And Stuart, at one time, was the highest earner in a network marketing company called ACN. And I had the opportunity of hearing Stuart speak one day before he became number 1 in ACN. And when he became number 1, it enabled him to make millions and millions of dollars. And Stuart had a goal that he would become number 1 in the entire organization. And here's how he started off. His very first day in the business, after he had signed up in ACN, he was at his first business meeting, and he went around and he introduced himself. Hi, I'm Stuart Taub. I'm the new regional vice president in town. And regional vice president at that time in ACN was the highest level that a person could earn. Now, Stuart wasn't an RVP. It takes 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years to become an RVP. It was Stuart's first day in ACN. Yet he introduced himself to people as, hi, I'm Stuart Taub. I'm the new RVP in town. He acted as if from day one that he was an RVP. He took on the posture, the mannerisms, the actions, the language. And in his mind, he already was an RVP. Now that you know that story, is it any surprise to you that with that mindset, Stuart Taub not only became an RVP, but shot to number 1 out of thousands and thousands of representatives in ACN. He became number 1, all because he acted as if. And another amazing story around the as if principle is about the Chicken Soup for the Soul book. I'm sure you've heard of those. Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul, and Chicken Soup for the Pet Lover's Soul, and Chicken Soup for the Golfer's Soul, and Chicken Soup, A Second Helping. And I think they have 60 or 70 different titles now. And I saw a video when that book had just come out, and the first book had not yet hit 1 million copies. And Mark Victor Hansen was speaking on that video, and he was telling about a vision of selling 20 million copies of the Chicken Soup book series. And 20 million copies is an absolutely amazing number. That's really a stretch goal, if you ask me. And one of the things that you can do with goals is you can set stretch goals. And so Mark Victor Hansen and his partner, Jack Canfield, now they may not have thought of it as a stretch goal, but I do. I think that that's a stretch goal. And at that time, they hadn't even hit 1 million yet. And he said that we will sell 20 million copies. And they began to act as if they were going to sell 20 million copies. And one of the strategies that Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen had was to do a radio interview every single day. They began to imagine if we were to sell 20 million copies, what would we do? And one of their strategies was to do a radio interview every single day. And they did that, and they did it for several years. And they hit 20 million copies. And I found out recently that they're at 88 million copies now. They're setting world records for the publishing industry. But it began by them acting as if they were going to sell 20 million copies. Their new goal is a goal that's never been achieved in the history of publishing. Their new goal is 1 billion copies of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. And they're now acting as if they're going to sell 1 billion copies. Isn't that an amazing story? And finally, probably the most famous example of the as-if principle is a story about Jim Carrey, the highest paid comedian in Hollywood today. And what's amazing about the story is Jim Carrey is now on the Forbes list for one of the wealthiest people in America. And not too long ago, Jim Carrey was living in his van. Jim Carrey set a goal to become the highest paid comedian in Hollywood, and that goal happened. Had he not set the goal, it's highly, highly unlikely that he ever would have achieved that result. But he didn't just set the goal. He acted as if it was going to come true. From the time he was living in his car, he acted as if he would become the highest paid comedian in Hollywood. In fact, he wrote himself a check, and it's a very famous story. He wrote himself a check for $10 million to Jim Carrey, from Jim Carrey, for acting services rendered. And he put a due date on that check of Thanksgiving 1995. And he put the check in his wallet, and he carried it around with him everywhere he went. And from time to time, he would pull out that check, and he would say to somebody, "You see this check? I'm Jim Carrey. Someday, I'm going to cash this $10 million check. There will be a day when I will become the highest paid comedian in Hollywood." And as Jim Carrey would share this check with people, I don't think they really thought much of it. "Okay, Jim, sure, whatever you say. Keep dreaming." Many times in my career, people have told me that, "Eric, you're a dreamer. That'll never happen." It's one of the highest compliments I think you can pay somebody. Because people that dream big dreams achieve big dreams. What is your dream? Jim Carrey dreamed of cashing this $10 million check. And then he asked himself, if I absolutely knew that I was going to cash the check, what would my actions be? First answer he got was, everybody I'd meet, I'd tell them I'm the funniest man in the world. So he began to do that. He began to introduce himself as, "I'm Jim Carrey, I'm the funniest man in the world." Second answer he got, I'd go to every audition that I could. And it makes sense if you think about it, because he'd have to get a movie gig, obviously. Third answer, I'll spend several hours a day standing in front of the mirror, making silly faces at myself. He trained himself on how to do all those things that he's able to do. He literally acted as if he was going to become the Jim Carrey that we know today. Now, if he had not acted as if he hadn't have gone on every audition, if he hadn't have imagined himself being the highest paid comedian in Hollywood, if he hadn't spent several hours a day standing in front of the mirror, making silly faces at himself, would he have ever achieved the goal? And I don't believe that he would have. Pick your goals and put your goals out into the future and act as if you're going to achieve those goals. 4 years ago, I started my sales training company. And at that time, I was 28 years old, had a couple dollars in the bank, but not very much. And I started my company out of a spare bedroom in my condo. And I began to act as if that I am the top sales trainer of my generation. And every day over the last 4 years, I've gone out and acted as if I am the top sales trainer of my generation. I believe that I've achieved my goal. One of the reasons I've achieved it is I don't know if there are any other 30-something sales trainers in the world today. And by focusing and taking the actions consistent with becoming that person, it pulls you towards the outcome like a magnet. And that leads me to the next benefit of goal setting. Goals attract. Goals attract. Goals act like a magnet. The dominating thoughts of your mind act like a magnet and attract to you what it is that you want. My company, when I first started, it used to be called SalesChampion.com. And that website is still active, SalesChampion.com. But in addition to being my website, it used to be the name of my company. And at that time, 4 years ago, .coms were very popular. And that was like the new wave, the .coms. Except that, as most of you know, over the last 4 years, the .coms, most of them have gone out of business. And so it's no longer fashionable to be a .com. And so I no longer want to call up companies and tell them that I was a .com. So I made a decision and I changed the name of my company from SalesChampion.com to Eric Lofholm International Incorporated. Now, my assistant, Lisa Downing, she's been with me now for a few years and is just an amazing staff member, amazing employee, has done an incredible job helping me achieve my goals and dreams and build my business. And she is friends with my wife, and my wife works for University of Phoenix, and they have some mutual friends. And so some of my wife's and Lisa's friends would call my company and they would, want to talk to Lisa. And they heard on the voicemail that the name had changed from Instead of saying, hi, you've reached saleschampion.com, if you know your party's extension, now they heard, hi, thank you for calling Eric Lofholm International, if you know your party's extension. And so they found out that I had changed the name of my company. And so some of these women who called up shared with my wife, they said, who does your husband think he is? International. He does programs in Southern California. What, is he going to be flying overseas and doing seminars? Ha, ha, ha. So a few months passed, and a previous client of mine named Chris Randolph, who has attended my seminars before, called me up on the phone. He said, Eric, I haven't seen you in a couple of years. I just got back from Malaysia, and I want to talk to you about doing some business with you. Can we schedule an appointment? I'd like to stop by your office. I said, yeah, sure, Chris, come on over. So Chris comes and meets with me in my office, and he says, Eric, I want to promote you over in Malaysia. What do you think? Now, at that time, you might have heard of the expression, a needle in a haystack. Well, this to me was a needle in 3 haystacks. Like my wife's friends had alluded to, most of my programs at that time in my career had only been done in Southern California. But I had the vision of taking my programs and impacting people all over the world. And so Chris shared this idea that he was going to promote me in Malaysia, and I'm thinking, that'll never work. But I also believe that if it's going to work, there's a small possibility that it actually could happen. Hey, who knows? What the heck? So Chris says, okay, Eric, I want to promote you in Malaysia. I said, great, go for it. I gave him the green light. Long story short, 6 weeks ago, I did 2 public seminars in Malaysia. One program, there was 1,200 people in the program, and the other one, there was 120 people in the program. All expenses paid, trip to Malaysia, and received a nice payment for the training. I believe that Chris showed up in my office because I had the vision of taking my programs internationally. And then he showed up to help fulfill that vision. Now, let me ask you a question. What if I had never established the goal of taking my programs globally? I believe that Chris never would have shown up at my office. I mean, it's possible that he would have, but I believe that it attracted him to the office. So I want to encourage you to write your goals down and attract other success into your life. My wife and I, when we moved into a condominium one time, at that time we hadn't had our own place. We had been literally living on the road for 2 years. And so we needed a sofa and a bed and a TV, a table and all these things. And so we wrote down all the things that we needed. And then one of my good friends, Mark McDonald, said, Eric, I have this table in storage. I was wondering, could you use a table? And the table was brand new in storage. I think he paid over $1,000 for it. And he just gave it to us. And he didn't ask for any money. And I believe that by writing that goal down, it attracted the table to me. Interesting thing to think about. Goals attract. The next benefit of goal setting is that others have the goal to help you achieve your goal. That's kind of interesting. Others have the goal to help you achieve your goal. So if you are single and you want to have the mate of your dreams, there is someone else out there who also has a goal to have the mate of their dreams. If you're looking for the dream company to work for, the dream company is looking for you to come work for them. If you have a goal of buying a new car, there is a salesperson out there that has the goal to sell you that car. If you have the goal of moving into your dream home, there is an owner of that dream home that is waiting for you to come and purchase the home from them. So know that when you set your goals, you're not alone. We become what we think about. We become what we think about. Earl Nightingale spent his entire life studying success. He was the one that founded the Nightingale Conant audio tape and motivational company. He listened to tape after tape after tape after tape, and before tapes, he listened to motivational records. That's how far back Earl Nightingale goes. He studied success his entire life, and at the end of his career, they asked him, Earl, what is the most valuable idea that you've ever learned in your entire life? And he said, it's very simple. It comes down to 9 simple words. We become what we think about. The dominating thoughts of our mind act like a magnet and attract to us what it is that we want. The next benefit of goal setting is that goal setting is free. It doesn't cost you anything. Grab a pen, piece of paper, sit down on your computer. Put down in writing what it is that you want to accomplish. How many things out there are free that can help you create the body of your dreams, attract the mate of your dreams, create the life of your dreams, earn the income of your dreams, find the job of your dreams? How many things out there are able to do all of those benefits, yet they're free? Yet 97% of the population doesn't have written goals. 99% of the population doesn't have written goals with a written action plan, and only 1 out of 10,000 actually mastermind. And you have the opportunity to do all of those things. Trust in the power of goal setting. Take this information and once again, take action. The next benefit of goal setting is that you can have as many goals as you want. I said earlier, there's no such thing as having too many goals. You can take all aspects of your life and write down what it is that you want. You can set goals in any area of your life, spiritually, health, relationship, finances, credit debt, any area of your life. The last benefit I have to share with you for this section of the program is that you can take your goals and you can double your goals. You can take your goals and you can double your goals. One of my success mentors, Tony Martinez, we were having a mastermind session and he was sharing with me that he came across a journal from a few years back and he looked at some of the goals that he had written down in his journal, and he hadn't seen the goals in years. And he looked at the goals and he realized that he had accomplished every single goal that he wrote down. And I was like, Tony, that's fantastic. What a great story. And he looked at me kind of funny. He said, fantastic. He said, Eric, I am so frustrated. I am so upset about this. I said, Tony, you accomplished everything that you wrote down. He's like, I know. I should have wrote down bigger goals. If I had realized that I was going to accomplish everything, I would have simply written down bigger goals. So this is something for you to consider, to simply strive for bigger goals. When I went to Sierra College and community college, I had a goal to play on the basketball team. But here was my goal. My goal was to be the 15th best player. And the reason I selected 15 was they took 15 players on the team. And this tryout started, and there was 70 people that tried out. The first cut happened, and I survived the first cut. The second cut happened. I survived the second cut. The third cut happened, and I survived the third cut. And now they were down to 18 players. There was going to be 2 more cuts. They were going to cut down to 16, and then there would be one final cut. The next cut happened. Whew, I made it. I'm in the final 16. My goal was to be the 15th best player. One more cut, and I'm in. Final cut was announced, and I got cut. I was the 16th best player. I was so close to achieving my goal. And oftentimes, when we set a goal, we'll come within 5% of achieving the goal, which is pretty good. But here's my point. Imagine if I had set a goal to not be the 15th best player, but if I had set a goal to be the absolute best player on the court. And what if I had went out and I had acted as if I was the best player? And what if I had visualized being the best player? I'm suggesting to you I would have made that team. And I was denied the experience of playing college athletics because the goal that I selected wasn't a big enough goal. Are you selecting goals that are big enough for you? Interesting question to consider. Here's some different types of goals that you can set. You can set lifetime goals. These are all the things that I want to accomplish during my lifetime. You can set goals for the year. You can set time frame goals. This is what I want to accomplish this week. You can set goals for the day. Here are my goals to accomplish today. You can set goals for the hour. You can set short-term goals, long-term goals. You can set goals without deadlines. You can set health goals, business goals, financial goals, net worth goals. You can set income goals, promotion goals. You can set a goal to get a certain kind of a job. You can set a goal to get a college degree, to be accepted into a college. You can set a spiritual goal. You can set family goals. You can set a travel goal. You can have sports goals. You can have goals to develop certain habits in your life, like a goal to floss your teeth once or twice a day. You could have a goal to read for 15 minutes a night. You could have a goal to journal. You could have a goal to keep the dishes in your sink clean. There are many different goals that you can set. Lou Holtz, the famous football coach, set a goal to achieve 107 goals. He wrote down 107 goals and he didn't achieve all 107. Although he still has some life left to live, he may still achieve the 107, but he did achieve 102 of them. You can set goals in all areas of your life. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Eric, with all of the benefits that written goals offer, why don't more people do it? Why do only 3% of the population do it? I'm going to now share with you the 9 reasons that I believe people don't set goals. The first reason is they don't know the importance of goal setting. Consider this. Is it possible to become a millionaire without setting a goal of being a millionaire? And the answer, of course, is yes. One example of this is you could inherit $1 million. Another example is you could win the lottery. What are the chances, though, of you inheriting $1 million or winning the lottery? They're not very high. It does happen, but they're not very high. The chances of you becoming a millionaire without making it a goal are very, very slim. Goal setting is important because by setting goals, you dramatically increase the likelihood that you'll get everything out of life that you want. The main benefit of goal setting is that it will help you get anything that you want in your life faster and easier without goals. Once people realize how important goal setting is, in many cases they immediately become goal setters. The second reason that people don't set goals is they don't know how. Think about it. When you were back in high school, did they have goal setting 101? Maybe what happened was when you were in high school, your parents, maybe they asked you, what are your goals for the grades that you'd like to get this semester? And you said, well, I'd like to get a B average. Oh, okay, well, that sounds good, son. Or that sounds good, daughter. Right? But you never actually took the time to learn step-by-step techniques for goal setting. I believe most people, they don't set goals because they don't know how. The third reason is people think that they're already doing it. In fact, you might be one of those people. You might have gone through your life up until now believing that you were already using proper goal-setting techniques. Consider the following example. A high school student might set the goal to have a GPA of 3.5. Now, this is a fairly gifted student who, if he truly applied himself, could have a 4.0 GPA. At the beginning of the semester, his parents asked him what his GPA goal was for the semester, and he responded 3.5. His parents were satisfied with the answer and moved on to the next topic. The problem is not goal setting. The end of the story is that he finished the semester with a 3.0 GPA. Now, there's nothing wrong with the B average. The problem is he wanted 3.5. That was his goal. And his academic ability was 4.0. If he had followed proper goal-setting techniques, he probably would have exceeded his goal. And he goes through life thinking goal setting is merely deciding what he wants. Deciding what you want is just one of many steps. There are 9 other specific steps that must be taken to provide the best opportunity for success. Think about it. How many times have you known what you wanted and come up short? How much more successful would you be right now if you were taught proper goal-setting techniques in junior high or high school? And if you're a parent, I want to strongly encourage you to share this information with your children. I didn't learn this information until after I was out of high school. And I'm not going to suggest by any stretch that it was too late for me to learn the information. Better late than never. But in retrospect, I had a goal to attend a UC school, University of California, Berkeley, or UCLA, or UC Santa Cruz, or UC Santa Barbara. I had a goal to go to one of these schools. I applied to 7 of them, and I was rejected from all 7 of those schools. In fact, in one day, I was rejected from 5 UC schools in the mail in one single day. And I didn't know any of these goal-setting techniques. And had I known these techniques and applied them when I was a freshman in high school, it would have changed the college that I went to. Teach this information to your children. Very, very powerful. The next reason that people don't set goals is they don't think that they have any goals. Over the last 10 years, I've met several people who tell me they don't have any goals. If you ask these people what their goals are, they respond by saying, well, I shared with you, I don't have any. This is not really true, though, I don't think. They do have goals. They've just never taken the time to think about what they really want in life. Whenever I ask people who say they don't have goals, would you like to retire financially independent? What do you think they say? So, well, Eric, of course I would. Or I'll say, would you like to have more energy? Would you like to make more money? Would you like to get a promotion at your job? And in most cases, they say yes, 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 yes. Everyone has goals. Yet not everyone has taken the time to really think about what they want most in life and then write it down and then create a plan for the achievement and then take action. Step 5, and this is one of the most common reasons that people don't set goals or they don't set goals that stretch them. They are afraid of failure. Have you ever met somebody who enjoys the experience of failure? You know, I surely have, and I've met a lot of people. I've never once met somebody who says, Eric, I just absolutely love failure. We all want to succeed in life. Many people are so afraid at failing that they're afraid of trying. Many people are so afraid of failing that they're afraid of trying. Are you one of these people? What are you missing out on in your life if you're afraid to even try? You see, many people have a goal, they have the vision, they have the dream in their mind, but they never take the action. They never pursue it. And the reason they don't pursue it is because the thought of failure dominates their mind. If you fall into this category, my suggestion to you is to set small goals using proper goal-setting techniques. Once your confidence is up and you see how easy it is, you can move up to bigger goals. Also, keep in mind that there is risk in everything. There is risk in going after your goals. The risk is, what if I fail? There's also risk in not going after your goals. What if I go through life without going after what's most important to me? For me, I would rather pursue my dream and fail than go through life asking, what if?